My name is Rhapsody, this game won't stop updating, and welcome back to Slay the Spire. Now, look at this. Art update for... No, none of that is particularly important. Alright, gameplay. All for One has been nerfed. That is the rare card. It was 2 energy, an attack card. Dealt 12 damage and then 16 on an upgraded level and returned all 0-cost cards from your discard pile into your hand. It's just been damage nerfed, so it still functions. Like, the power that it held was not necessarily related to the damage of the card itself. It was related to the fact that you could bring back so many different cards and get overwhelming value from it. So I don't really think that nerf is going to hit it too hard. I think that's still going to leave the 0-cost archetype for the Defect as a relatively strong one. The Entropic Brew can no longer give you fruit juice and cares about potion rarity like Alchemize does when spawning potions. That's actually something I noticed last time I used an Entropic Brew. I got 2 potions that are supposed to be quite rare, and the rarity of them was supposed to be 5%. So I was a little thrown by that. I didn't mention it at the time, but this makes sense that it wasn't actually applying the potion rarity scaling. Is now, though. Fruit juice will no longer spawn from Alchemize. So part of the reason for this is because this formatted the ability to break the game, or at the very least incentivized heavily stalling the game until you got fruit juice, until you played every single Alchemize and every single Entropic Brew, especially in the, what are they called, dailies? The Brewmaster dailies. So that you could get the stuffed daily modifier and so that you could get so much max HP that barely anything could touch you. I'm actually really glad about that because it removes that kind of grindy min-maxing from the game. Speaking of removing grindy min-maxing from the game, we're actually going to skip 2 forward so that I can talk about Magnetism, which can no longer spawn bandage up. The problem with this, however, you may have seen probably about a dozen and a half episodes ago now that I had a bunch of Magnetism stacks and I was just stalling a fight waiting for bandage ups to appear. That was one of the ways that I got bandage ups, but Magnetism can also give you transformation, and then transformation can give you bandage up. So it still, to me, seems like it's going to be possible to stall in that kind of a scenario. It's just going to take much, much, much longer, which probably not going to be entirely worth it in a investment of time versus reward kind of equation. The hologram card has been slightly reworked. I actually happen to know what this rework was. The base level is now gain 3 block and return a card from your discard pile to your hand. So it's not a random card, it's a card. However, it exhausts. The upgrade removes exhaust and adds 2 block. So overall, I believe it's better now, because the fact that you had to use hologram for a random card before oftentimes meant that it was worse that it didn't exhaust. So the fact that you can now select, it's, in my opinion, much more consistent on its base level. I mean, it's literally much more consistent on its base level, but much more powerful on its base level despite the fact that it exhausts. And the upgraded version gives you a little bit more defense. The Impulse card is now being deprecated. I'm actually kind of pleased to see that, because the Impulse card was one of those cards that always seemed like it was for someone else or for some other build. Like, every single time I put Impulse into my build, I'm like, yeah, but I could just do something else instead. I could just generate another orb, or I could just play another power, or I could just defend and then stall for a turn. It always felt like it was a little bit out of the way of any build that I could manage to form with it. So I'm not too sad to see it go. Magnetism, as I said before, can no longer spawn bandage up. Melter damage has been buffed from 8 to 10, and the upgrade has gone from 11 to 14. Now, this is a uncommon attack card, 1 energy. It removes all block from your target and then deals its damage. So I heavily disrespected this card for a very long period of time, and that's majority because get the words out right. It's a majority of that is because a lot of the enemies that you fight don't have any way of forming any block. So to have Melter in your deck is just like a strike. Like, at 8 upgrades to 11, it's a bit better than the strike, sure, but it's still like a strike. right? Going from 10 to 14, that's much more significant. That's the realm at which you can think of picking that up just for a value pick for damage. The Regen Potion's gotten an overhaul. It now acts like poison, which is to say it has its initial power, which I don't know in particular what it is. I have to imagine it's going to be 5. And then it'll heal you for 5. Next turn, it loses one of that one stack of that, heals you for 4. Next turn, loses a stack, heals you for 3. This is actually really, really, really important because it front loads the healing that the Regen Potion gives you, so you're no longer incentivized to stall out turns at the very end just so that you can get that final tick of regeneration for the final 3 HP. Instead, you're only losing 1 HP if you end the fight a little bit earlier. That's really, really interesting. The Steam Barrier card was also buffed yet again, and that is to say that the upgraded version of it that gave you 7 block now gives you 8 block, which means that it is way more useful because it also decrements in block by 1 every single time you play it. So instead of being 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it's now 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is way, way better. It's just an extra play that you can really get. I'm actually looking at the Steam Barrier now and going, okay, it now definitely has a place in zero-cost builds and might have a place in heavy draw builds as long as you have a relatively thick deck. That said, how often do I have a relatively thick deck? Undo card has been reworked and changed to a new card, Equilibrium. Now, I'm not entirely certain what that is. Can't wait to see it, though. All right. Let's get back on that grind. All right, so we're starting to run Cursed now, I believe. Let's have a look. All right. Elite spawn more often, normal enemies are deadlier, elites are deadlier, bosses are deadlier. Heal us after boss battles, start each run damage, normal enemies are tougher, elites are tougher, bosses are tougher, start each run. Cursed! Another try. Meow, don't mind if I do. Lose all gold for 14 max HP is not that bad, especially for a character that's, well, let's admit, kind of a wee bit fragile. Alright. Let's look at our opening, though. So there's one path that I can take that has no elites, except it has a late elite. There's no path I can take that has no elites. Okay, so if I'm going for a late elite, I mean, I could just take the 3 potions. That's not that bad. I'm actually looking at the random boss relic right now, though. Because I do think the cracked core is... I don't want to say weak, but I also don't think it's on the same level as the average boss relic. Like, if you took the power level of each boss relic and averaged them out, I think the average power level would be greater than the power level of the cracked core for most builds. Okay, Ori I actually might be fine with. Let's see what we've got here. Okay, we've got a Steam Barrier, a Beam Cell. There's a hologram. You can see that it's exhaust on its base level, and the upgrade version is just return a card without the exhaust. Boot sequence. So we've got 2 holograms in here as well. And another Beam Cell. I mean, this could be the zero-cost archetype because... So, you can put hologram in a zero-cost archetype with very, very little consequence. There's 2 Beam Cells in here, as well as the Steam Barrier. All right, at the very least, for the first run this episode, I'm going to try and play with the new hologram as well as Steam Barrier and make this into kind of a zero-costy, archetype-y kind of biz. There's no reason to play Steam Barrier here. I can just fully defend myself anyway. Alright, well, here, however, gonna hologram back the Steam Barrier, play it. And I need to start setting these up to die, so even though I'm gonna take 8 damage here, this is going to give me the ability to kind of start guaranteeing the death of these eventually. Just gonna let those turns pass. Fear Potion, apply 3 vulnerability, as well as Tempest, Genetic, and Stack. I I mean, we've already removed lightning from our build, courtesy of removing the cracked egg. The cracked core. So, it's not Tempest. I don't think it's Stack, and I don't think it's Genetic Algorithm. I think it's none of them. Happy to remove a card from my deck. We'll remove Dual Cast, because if Dual Cast is drawn before Zap in this build right now, it does nothing at all, because we don't start with an orb. Alright, get some stacks of vulnerability on the enemy. So now what I really need is go for the eyes, scrape all for one. That's, in particular, the kind of stuff that I'm looking for here. I'm going to take Steam Barrier here. Primarily just because I want to be able to use my 2 strikes while the enemy still had the vulnerability on them. Reboot. Reboot is literally? No, it is figuratively insane in a 0-cost deck. Because you just play all of the 0 costs in your hand and then you reboot. Okay. It's just a card removal on something that has an associated cost. I think it's actually a defend right now. Because we are lacking offense, and it can be difficult to find that in a pinch. Speaking of offense in a pinch, I could take Axe Kick. It just does damage. I think I'm going to take it just because I need something that just does damage right now. I'll upgrade Zap to be 0 cost, and now I can start worrying about the actual effects of the things that I create. Awesome. Steam Barrier might actually end up being my next upgrade. Scrape. No. Okay. Reprogram's probably not really that good for us. I mean, if I had Scrape already, it would be, but I don't have Scrape already. There's Scrape. Unfortunately, can't purchase it, but here is Go for the Eyes, which is something that I also want, so... At the very least, we did get a pretty sweet consolation prize there. Ornamental Fan. Every time we play 3 attacks in a single turn, gain 4 block. We have a bunch of 0-cost attacks that we are playing very constantly. So, quite pleased about that. I'm going to upgrade the Reboot. I think I made the right decision there, actually. Beam Cell, Axe Kick, Strike. I do want to burn these holograms out of my deck, so I'm actually going to use it to bring back both of my 0 costs and then play both of those again. We got trouble, boss. Our ride is about to break down. There's 4 block for us. Enemy is going to die next turn, so I can use the defend here. Awesome. I was pretty damn certain the enemy was going to die next turn, at least. Bird face down, whenever you play power, heal to HP. It's really unfortunate that that's turned up now because, I mean, definitely good. That totally activates a power build. It makes a power build insane, in fact. All right, I'm going to do this just because if we can get this mushroom, then it is going to be really, really difficult to harm us. Okay. Beautiful. Because then vulnerability won't even do it. So we didn't really get as much block there as I would have liked, but that's unfortunate. That's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Alright, and Odd Mushroom. When vulnerable, takes 25% more damage rather than 50% more damage. Beam Cell, Consume rather, and Streamline. Streamline will eventually get to 0 cost. I think I might actually just take a Streamline right now, because I've got 2 ways to return it to my hand. I've got the vulnerability to capitalize on top of it. I kind of just need the damage. Ooh, boy howdy, this is not gonna be a good fight for us. There's our defense limited. Yay. Alright, I'm gonna throw in another Go for the Eyes, just to weaken for the next turn. Oh, great. Of course, you decide not to attack now that I've weakened you. Then we'll Beam Cell, Axe Kick, Go for the Eyes. Alright, we actually managed to get out of that one pretty much unscathed. Sweeping Beam, Cold Snap, Chill. No. We're going to take a pretty hardline stance with all this stuff right now. I'm thinking of upgrading the Go for the Eyes. Yeah. Being able to weaken for the additional turn is probably going to save me more HP over the course of this fight than would be saved. Hang on one sec here. Lizard, really? It's probably going to save me more HP than would be saved by resting there. Or than would be generated by resting there. Okay, let's hologram back a Zap. Just get another one out in action. That's really unfortunate. Well, Beam Cell, strike, defend, and die. All right. Unfortunately, we basically needed to either, like, hard line down the Streamline. What else would have worked? I mean, I guess, like, I could have rested before I went into that fight. I think I still would have died, though. The problem we were going to run into was the 10 damage attack followed by the 16 damage attack followed by the 20. In almost no hand do we consistently have the ability to block that because we need to attack. What I definitely should have done is looked at the start of the floor to who my boss at the end was going to be. Because if it was Hexaghost, we would have been fine. If it was the blob, the giant slime, we would have been fine. But that enemy in particular, 2 out of 3 turns, I can't attack you. And the way I was gaining defense was by attacking, courtesy of the Ornamental Fan. Kind of just want to take a random rare to define my run around. Fine. That doesn't define a run, that's just machine learning. Bunch of question marks over this side, though. I'll attack this acid slime before. I should have attacked it twice before I did the dual cast, just to prevent any wastage of damage. Alrighty then. Ah, don't you dare. Are you actually going to start giving me a 0 cost build now? I mean, that's Scrape. Who's our boss? Hexaghost. I mean, now that I still have Cracked Core, I can just upgrade both Dual Cast and Zap to be part of my Scrape build. White Noise also upgrades to be part of a Scrape build. We'll see how this goes. Don't curse me, 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 don't curse me. Card removal. All right, I'm going to remove a defend here. And that's primarily because, Wow. If I could actually take Finesse or Panache, this would be insane. Or even Kunai. Can't really take any of the rest of those, though. If this is the Gremlin Knob, we're just going to be sad. Thankfully, it's not, but we're still... Ooh, creative AI. Okay. So I get 2 turns to just play whatever powers I'm given by it. That burns out my Ascender's Bane. Okay, you're waking up this turn. Magnetism. All right. Okay, I think I'm just taking this 20 damage. And that's gonna hit the buffer. Sadistic Nature Blind, really? That's extremely handy. Just wildly convenient. Echo Form. Dark Shackles? Oh, man. Alright. Let's blind you twice. I'll finesse before I scrape. Getting Dark Shackles. Oh man, this boss fight is ridiculous. Okay, I got 12 ingoing damage this turn. Scrape twice for a bunch of card draw. Weaken, defend for free. Oh, and then just double strike for the kills. It's pretty good. Tiny chest, gain 30 gold, gets 10% more likely to find treasure in question mark rooms, as well as buffer, turbo, sweeping beam. We don't really have enough draw to consider taking turbo yet. Also, deck's not thick enough to consider taking turbo yet. Okay. It's just considering my paths. Loop's not that bad. Ow. I really need to get some zero-cost cards in this deck. I mean, the deck is kind of built entirely around them. So it'd be nice if I had some. Okay. Skill Potion, bunch of non-zero cost cards again. Boy, howdy. Eviscerated and chopped by giant claws. That means that the enemy would be the Lagavulin. Alright, I'm gonna risk one roll and then leave. Cool. Strength is skill put. Ooh. I would not be surprised at all if we die here. I'm pretty much going to be relying on white noise to save me. It's not going to do it, white noise. I pretty much need to just, like, use all of the damage that is available to me every single turn. Yeah, we're dead here. Sometimes you play with dice and sometimes you lose. It's just how the world works, my friends. Alright, just murder me. We managed to get one of them at least. Alright, so now we're starting with absolutely no starting bonus either. Whew! And there is no path that dodges all elites. Wowzers. Dual cast for the kills and move on to Energy Reinforce. Thank you. Reinforced Body is a great defensive card. I hate that you can't choose not to spin this, so you just have to take the chance. Oh, Relic. Nice. I mean, 3 of the options are good, but the 2 bad options can be really bad. Dual cast and defend got upgraded. Unfortunately, Data Disc is out of our range right now. You're kidding me though, right? It's offering me Scrape, and Dual Cast just got upgraded. Alright, I'm taking Recycle Scrape. This is going to be a 0-cost build. Dang it. I decree it. The annoying thing is I don't feel like I'm trying to force this build either. It just feels like this build is like half here. I'm not using Scrape because I do want to naturally draw into my next hand. Okay, a Power Potion as well as Turbo Skip and Melter. No. We'll dodge this in order to upgrade Zap to a 0-cost. We also need to upgrade Recycle to a 0-cost and then upgrade Scrape. The Recycle is effectively there just to remove anything from my deck that is not 0-cost. Okay, and dual cast for the kills. No. I mean, the best case here is I take Hologram, I have Hologram in the same hand to Scrape, and then I Scrape back Hologram. Okay, fine. Get a power for this. Lightning now hits all enemies. It's a really good power to pick up. If Scrape hits the Zap, we are just in heaven here. It did not, unfortunately. Is there anything it hit that I want? I mean, I can still Hologram back the Scrape and try again, see if I can get that Zap. I can't. However, I can do a lot of lightning damage. You can see why I think maybe electrodynamism. You can see why I maybe think that might be nerfed soon. It is wildly powerful. Shovel. You can now dig for loot at rest sites, as well as a bunch of other cards that aren't 0-cost. One of them can become 0-cost with a large investment. Tiny chest again? You shouldn't have. Seriously. Gain 30 gold. You're 10% more likely to find treasure in question mark rooms. Actually kind of thinking about going for that next elite. 50-50, it's Gremlin Knob, though. No. I'm not going to it, then. Regen. Fruit juice, which I can't drink right now. And then another regen. If I could have drank fruit juice right then, I would have. Unfortunately, I couldn't have. Otherwise, I would have. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, well, having a lot of very aggressive monsters out on the field here, not that fun. Okay, backline is dead. So as long as I defend for 10 a turn, we're fine. All right. FTL, Axe Kick, Reinforced Bodies. So there are some 0-cost in there, both FTL and Axe Kick. The thing is, if FTL is ever gotten from Scrape, like it would have to be super early. It can't be Degenerate. I don't think I need to trade the immediacy of the build for that. Axe Kick is just upfront damage as well, but again, I don't think I want it. Ugh, this final boss is going to be really, 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 really annoying for this deck. Upgraded defend, recycle, upgraded defend. Okay. Overall, pretty pleased with that. Good gosh. Scrape once more. Dual cast, double defend. 28. Beam Cell, come on. Beam Cell, go for the eyes. Come on. Come on, cards. I know you're in there somewhere. And then basically anything will kill. Go for the eyes. Thank you. There's Reboot. Madness is great in this build as well, but I think I have to take the Reboot because I need the immediacy of the power. I think we're dead no matter what I do here. I'm going to rest instead, though. Which is the same, like, it's the opposite decision I made last time with respect to upgrading Go for the Eyes instead. We'll see if this was instead correct. I have a feeling it won't be. Okay, it's hologram back scrape, play it. Let's get an attack in here. Oh, it's another scrape. Huh. What good fun. Alright, let's just defend as best we can there. Ooh, boy. I'm not attacking here because every single time I attack the enemy while they're down in that form, for every attack card I play, I take 3 damage. Ugh. Okay. You can see where my fear comes from, right? Our HP is pretty vastly dwindling here. Right. I'm going to start burning these strikes out of my deck so that I can try and get back to my reinforced body much more regularly. Not playing the scrape there again. It would cause me to take 3 damage. 21 on that block. Okay. Double strike into the scrape. See what we can get. Shouldn't have done the double strike first. That should have been scrape, then double strike. Because putting the double strike, playing the double strikes first, put them into my discard pile, which then made them liable to be drawn by the scrape, decreasing its chance to hit something else. Here I'll weaken. With an upgraded Go for the Eyes, you'd be weakened for this turn as well. Now I feel like I'm probably not gonna get you down in time. Oh, I might do. Reinforced body coming in clutch here. Yeah, without reinforced body, we would have been completely boned in this fight. Which is effectively the fight we had last time, right? Okay. Well, we've gotten past the first floor. Reboot. 1000% reboot. We did have both Enlightenment and Madness in the shop just before this, but we couldn't have known that we were going to get Meteor Strike Because if we took Madness or Enlightenment just hoping to get Meteor Strike and then didn't get Meteor Strike, then we just cry for a very long period of time. Out of these, I'm actually liable to take the Inserter. Now, the primary reason I'm doing that is because giving my enemies extra attack right now will kill us. And it will kill us very quickly on this floor. And I'm trying to avoid that. You know, the dying. That bit. Just feel like maybe I'd do better if I didn't die. Reboot again. Also going to weaken the frontliner because that will actually be a significant amount of HP savings over the course of the fight. I do really want to attack this guy right now, but couldn't guarantee the effectiveness of doing that. Hologram back to scrape, play it again. Zap dual cast. Alright, looking more promising. Next hand looks like I might have lethal, depending on my final draw, and we don't. Yay. Just gotta watch him run away with my money. My hard-earned money. I'm gonna take a reprogram right now. We play all of our zero cost and then reboot. So this is basically the idea. Let's hologram a zap. This is basically the idea, right? Just try and play scrape for super high value every single time. Zero cost is still left in there. In fact, a reboot is as well. So now we can reprogram and remove everything that isn't zero cost. Then we can scrape to guarantee the zero costs in the draw. That's the reason for the pick up the reprogram there. White Noise is actually already zero cost, so it's totally fine to take. Ancient T-Set whenever you enter rest site, start the next combat with 2 extra energy. Alright, we'll do this. If it gives us Enchiridion especially, we're going to be happy. Hey! At the start of each combat, add a random power card to your hand. It costs 0 until the end of the turn. That's basically just a White Noise in play for us at the start of each fight. I'm looking at the second go for the ice here, I've got to be honest. Probably that and a removal. Or we could take a bag of marbles, because we do need to get off to a good start in this fight. And with the reboots, we do. You know what? Bag of marbles. Let's get the vulnerability applied in the first turn. I really want to start digging as well. Yeah, let's do it. Anchor, start each combat with 10 block. Good. Good pickup. Ouch. That's really bad. That was a really garbage opening hand for us. And then we got hexed as well. Ooh. Rough time to be us, I'll tell you what. And then bring back the dual cast, play that again. Yep, deck is almost entirely dazed right now, but that's my deck. That's how that was always gonna happen. I have to play a bunch of skills in this deck. That's all it does. So I fear I'm now just gonna get murdered by the Chosen. Yeah. See, as soon as the Chosen got to turns like this, there's nothing I could really do against it. Like, reinforced body with 3 is blocked for 21 against the incoming 40. Not being able to hit that opening turn to be particularly powerful, like our opening turn not having any of the reboots, not having Zap, not having Scrape, that was really, really deadly. Because as soon as that happened, and as soon as we got hexed on the first turn, I knew that this was going to be our future. Because there were just a bunch of skills that we had to play to deal damage. Otherwise, we would have still had the cultist here, and the cultist just would have killed us. Oh, well. Ah, the zero-cost build strikes again! And the Spire consumes another. Well, for the moment, my name has been Rhapsody. The name of the game has been Slay the Spire. Hopefully you've been enjoying yourselves, and hopefully we'll see you next time.